Let me say something that might shake you. You'll never stop compulsively masturbating until you face the truth about your father. This isn't some clickbait psychobabble. This is real. If you've been battling with habits like compulsive masturbation, porn addiction, or emotional numbing, you've probably tried every trick: cold showers, accountability apps, Nofap challenges, but nothing truly sticks. That's because the root isn't behavioral. It's psychological. And not just your psyche, but your inner child's unmet needs. Your relationship, or lack thereof, with your father may hold the answer you've been too scared to face. Stay with me. I'm going to break down 6 profound concepts, rooted in Carl Jung's shadow work, archetypal psychology, and philosophical wisdom, that explain why so many men are trapped in cycles of addiction, shame, and emotional emptiness, and how healing that father wound could finally set you free. 1. The problem isn't the habit, it's the pattern. We often fixate on the habit, the act of masturbation, the minutes spent scrolling through explicit content, the guilt afterward. But this is just the symptom. The real issue is the emotional pattern underneath. Think about it. When do you feel the strongest urge? It's usually when you're stressed, anxious, lonely, rejected, or ashamed. That's not sexual arousal, that's emotional avoidance. Carl Jung would argue that these impulses are part of the unconscious shadow self, the parts of you that are unresolved, repressed, and fragmented. They show up not to destroy you, but to get your attention. And one of the most powerful shadows many men carry is the lack of secure masculine guidance. In other words, what was missing in your relationship with your father. When we don't know how to emotionally process pain, we redirect it into temporary pleasure. That's why the habit persists. It's serving a purpose. Until you recognize the emotional role that this behavior plays in your life, you'll continue repeating the cycle, even if you hate yourself for it. 2. Carl Jung and the shadow of the father. Carl Jung introduced a life-changing concept: the shadow. It's the part of ourselves we hide, suppress, or deny, often because society, parents, or our own self-image told us those traits weren't acceptable. But the shadow doesn't disappear, it festers. And for many men, the core of the shadow is tied directly to their father. Whether your dad was absent, emotionally cold, overly critical, abusive, or just never saw you for who you truly were, that relationship leaves an imprint. You may have spent your whole life trying to earn his approval or rebel against his judgment. That unhealed dynamic doesn't vanish when you become an adult. It just morphs, often into unconscious behaviors like escapism, addiction, or self-sabotage. Masturbation becomes a metaphor, the way you try to soothe what was never healed. Deep down, you're not just chasing pleasure, you're yearning to feel whole, affirmed, and powerful in a way your father never gave you permission to feel. Facing this truth is painful, but it's also the gateway to liberation. 3. The father wound and the masculine void. Psychologists and philosophers alike have explored what's known as the father wound, a deep emotional injury caused by the absence of nurturing, protective, or validating masculine energy in early life. For many men, this wound is silent but severe. You may not even realize how much it shaped you. If your father never modeled healthy masculinity, you grow up unsure of your own. You become emotionally fragmented, spiritually unanchored, and sexually confused. This creates a void, a hunger for guidance, discipline, and direction. But instead of filling that void with purpose and connection, many fill it with dopamine, short bursts of pleasure that mimic love but deliver nothing. Here's the raw truth. Until you consciously reconnect with that wound, through reflection, mentorship, or inner work, it keeps driving your actions in the background. You're not addicted to sex. You're addicted to avoiding the pain of never feeling seen, understood, or empowered by the first man who was supposed to do that, your father. 4. Archetypes and the lost rite of passage. Carl Jung's work on archetypes is deeply relevant here. Each of us contains symbolic roles within our psyche, like the child, the warrior, the lover, and the king. But many modern men are stuck in the child archetype, dependent, comfort-seeking, avoidant. Why? Because we were never initiated into healthy adulthood. In ancient cultures, boys were led through rites of passage, challenging symbolic rituals designed to sever their dependence and initiate them into responsibility, courage, and maturity. Who led these rituals? The elders, the men, the fathers. Today, that initiation is missing, so boys grow into men physically, but emotionally, they remain uninitiated. That's why addiction, emotional numbness, and porn become surrogates for the initiation we never had. The only way out is inner initiation, facing our pain, reclaiming our shadow, and becoming the fathers we never had, first for ourselves. 5. Philosophical wisdom, desire, discipline, and the inner battle. One of the most powerful realizations a man can have is this: your desire is not your enemy, but your relationship with it might be. Philosophers from the East and West, from Stoicism to Buddhism, have warned for centuries about the dangers of being ruled by your impulses. The Stoic Emperor Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's not just poetic, it's practical. When you masturbate compulsively, you're not simply indulging in pleasure, you're surrendering to a part of yourself that has not yet matured. The problem isn't that you feel desire, the problem is that desire owns you. But the goal isn't repression. Repressing desire leads to shame and guilt, which often drive you back into the behavior you were trying to avoid in the first place. True transformation requires integration. As Carl Jung taught, we must make the unconscious conscious, or it will direct our lives and we will call it fate. That means learning to sit with desire without being controlled by it. It means building the inner strength to observe the urge, acknowledge it, and choose not to act on it out of impulse. In that moment of pause, you reclaim your power. When you begin to harness your sexual energy, you realize it's not just about sex, it's about life. The same energy that drives lust can drive purpose, creativity, and vision. Sexual energy is vital force, and when directed inward, it can regenerate your confidence, focus, and self-respect. Discipline then becomes an act of self-love, not punishment. You aren't denying yourself pleasure. You're redirecting your energy towards something deeper, becoming the architect of your own life. As Nietzsche said, "He who cannot obey himself will be commanded." If you don't lead your desires, they will lead you, often to places you don't want to go. 6. The healing path, from fragmented boy to integrated man. True healing is not about chasing a version of yourself who never makes mistakes. It's about becoming the man who can face himself with honesty and take action from that place of awareness. The boy in you may still crave escape, comfort, or approval, but the man in you must learn to stand in the fire of his own truth. That means facing uncomfortable emotions head-on, instead of avoiding them through quick dopamine fixes. It means forgiving your father not because he deserves it, but because you deserve peace. It means no longer outsourcing your masculinity to pornography, bravado, or external validation, but reclaiming it through conscious living. This healing journey is not a one-time breakthrough, it's a practice. Some days you'll feel strong, focused, and aligned. Other days the old urges will creep back in, whispering that comfort is easier than growth. And that's okay. Each time you choose awareness over reaction, presence over escape, you're strengthening your inner masculine foundation. You're moving from being a fragmented boy driven by wounds to an integrated man grounded in values. You stop needing approval, and you start radiating presence. You stop hiding, and you start leading. First yourself, and eventually others. In the end, this work isn't just for you. It's for the people around you. Your future partner, your children, your community. When you heal, you break cycles. When you confront your father wound, you stop it from becoming your son's. And when you reclaim your sexual energy, you don't just quit a habit, you become a force. A man of integrity, a man of vision. A man who no longer runs from the boy within, but lifts him up, honors him, and finally becomes his own father. Call to inner awakening. This isn't just about quitting masturbation. It's about confronting the parts of yourself that are still waiting for a father's approval, a father's love, a father's strength. You can't change the past, but you can change your future. And that starts by becoming the man you needed. If this video struck something deep in you, comment below. What's your relationship with your father? What are you trying to heal? Let's open a space for real dialogue here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone else who's ready to stop numbing and start living. You are not alone in this. You were never meant to walk this path without guidance. See you in the next one.